Somebody playing the piano.
It wasn't me.
I heard something. We'll get going here in a second. I'm just going to continue to admit some people. Can everybody see the owl camera? Does that work? Is that a yes,
Yep.
Carson? Okay, thanks, Jordan. Thank you. Yep, just give me a thumbs up. It appears as though we're good, which is awesome. IT was able to send somebody over, I think it was yesterday or this morning, and we were able to figure it out. So I'll kind of I'll be bouncing back and forth between the owl and just the regular web camera, but I wanted to make sure that that was fired up and working. Waiting on 5 to 6 more people, then we'll get going. It's almost 1 o'clock now anyway. Hi there.
Are we online?
We are, yeah.
All right.
You're good.
Hustle back now.
That's fine. I got you. Waiting on 4 or 5 others. That didn't sound great.
Was that my speaker you heard?
I think so, Grayson, yeah.
My bad. Somebody was ranting.
All good. Is Justin Hurd here? No? He was having some internet issues last class period, so he's one of the 3 or 4 that we are waiting on. But I'll give it another 1 to 2 minutes since it's 1:02, and then we'll get going. Justin, it looks like your computer and internet was fixed. Yeah, it gave me a thumbs up. Okay. I'll continue to monitor the waiting room, and we will let anybody in that's late. Okay, so couple notes before we get started. We had 5 or 6 new people join the class, so word must be out that it's a pretty easy class, which is a fair assessment. So not surprised that we had a few stragglers joining in. Going over a few corrections to the syllabus, I sent out one with, I guess, the syllabus that I have been communicating to you had a typo. I revised that and I posted a new one on my Wartburg. There was just one of the dates for the assignments was wrong. I put it like a week later, and that was the leadership podcast reflection paper. That will be due on I believe it's the 28th, something like that. I'd have to look. I have the syllabus here in my notes, but once again, all of that is linked on my Wartburg. Another note, I forgot to mention where my office is located in case you needed to swing by and find me for whatever reason. My office is located in the W main athletic offices. If you go in through the main door, I am down to the right, all the way down by the Hall of Fame room. I am in one of the cubicle workstations there. Some of the people that added the class late, I had to sign the blue slips, so that's what prompted me to remind you where that office is. You can also go in through the side door over by the suit of armor, kind of right outside in the main hallway. Any questions kind of over the syllabus? I know we went through it in more detail last week, or not, last class period on Tuesday. Any other questions if you went through and kind of reviewed that? No questions. Once again, you can use the chat feature as well in this. I'll check that periodically. So if you have a question, fire it in there and I will, obviously be checking it as we go along. Okay, so before we get going into chapter 1, kind of the introductory chapter, really kind of chapters 1, 2, and 3 are kind of a little bit more intro based before we really start jumping into kind of some of the, frankly, more interesting topics. But we're going to do some breakout rooms here. I want to get some thoughts and initial impressions from you all. So if you have a notebook, pen, and paper, I have 4 questions that I'd like you to kind of discuss within your group. I think we have 23 people on the call, so I'll make 5 or 6 different groups within that. We can kind of talk amongst yourselves, and then we'll have somebody report on that. Okay, so first question, kind of a little bit more general based, but I'm really interested in wanting to get your feedback on this. What is helpful for online classes for you individually? Okay, nobody really gave me any rules or guidelines about teaching this class. Thankfully, I've had quite a bit of experience doing online remote type learning just kind of through my own academic career. So I have a general idea of what works for me, but that may be different for you. Okay, so once again, first question, what's helpful? What is helpful for you? What works? What doesn't work? That's the first question. Second question, what are you wanting to get out of this class? Now that we've kind of talked through the syllabus, some of the interesting assignments, some of the guest speakers, topics of discussion, things like that. What are you wanting to get out of this class? Okay. Question number 3, what motivated you to sign up for this class? I know there's kind of a lot of different courses out there that's offered here at Wartburg, but we have kind of a wide variety of majors that are present in this class, a lot of business, a lot of sport management, fitness management, whatever. but I am wanting to know, sorry, we have some people logging in here. But yeah, what motivated you to just sign up for the class? And then the final question, what is sport management? What is your definition of sport management? Okay, so I will go ahead and add the breakout rooms.
Is helpful for all class.
How we doing, Gavin?
Good. What about you?
Good, man. So I'm going to, I've inserted a couple of breakout rooms. I'm going to try and get you into one of those. 4 questions that I'm having everybody answer. I'm sure everybody else will be able to kind of fill you in with a group. Keegan, how we doing?
Good. What about you?
Yeah, doing well. Okay, once again, I'm going to plug you into a breakout group. We'll kind of meet for 3-4 minutes, and then I'll bring everybody back before we start the lecture, okay?
Okay.
Perfect. There you go. I should have sent it your way. Brendan, how we doing?
Good. We just got done.
Perfect. That's fine. Whenever you guys are ready, I'll let you come back kind of on your own time. What's your hardest class this semester, Brennan?
I'd say either accounting or microeconomics.
I'm glad it's not mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you an athlete or no? I can't remember.
No, I'm a student assistant for the women's basketball team.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I watched, what was the game, or who'd you play? Was it Northeastern or Northwestern that you guys dropped like 104 points, 103?
Who was that? North Central, I think.
Central. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure.
Your first season doing that, or were you around last year?
Oh, this is my first year, so eventually I want to get into coaching, and I know Coach Amsbury is a genius, so figured I'd want to learn from the best.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's had some fun teams while I've been here anyway.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna bring everybody back now. I'm not sure, they must all just be hanging out, but I'll close all rooms.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll start to join back now.
I'll probably like that.
Still waiting on a few people. Chris, could we have you mute your screen, please? Perfect. Thanks, Chris. Sorry about that. There's a humming noise going on. Okay, so everybody appears to be back. What were some of your thoughts? Let's go breakout group 1. What were some things that are helpful for you when taking an online class? What were some of the things you discussed? Who's your representative?
I guess I'll be the representative. Like one of the things that like we talked about that was helpful, like all like the main like assignments, like do like put it like on my workbook or whatever, like new announcements that needs to be made. Like email is definitely one of the best ways to do that, in our personal opinion.
Okay, good. So kind of some clear, concise communication, whether that's through my workbook, you guys should be checking that on a regular basis, or via email, kind of like I've already been doing. So that's awesome. Let's go group number 2. Somebody from that group, same question. Response number 1.
I forget what group. Were we number 2?
Yeah, we're group 2.
Okay, I didn't check. Number 1, we said we want to keep lecturing to a minimum, and then more breakout rooms and more group work would be helpful, just to get us kind of interested in the class and talking about it amongst ourselves instead of just listening to you talk all the time.
Yep, that's fine. I don't like to talk. So that is well received. Sorry, I'm just kind of taking some notes as we go. Let's go group number 7. Same response. Number 1, what is helpful for a online hybrid type class through Zoom?
Were we number 7? And we're... What's that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. We kind of discussed like if there are any lectures and like PowerPoints, to have those uploaded, to take more notes afterwards, if we choose to do so. But also we kind of talked about like the breakout rooms. We think they're really helpful, especially with being like contemporary like issues and stuff, so we can like debate kind of or discuss stuff within small groups. So we'll just make it a little bit easier. And
Good. Well, and I like that how you touched on kind of the PowerPoint upload. So my thought was I will hold on to them, obviously present them during classes, and then once we are done, then just kind of upload them. I think those are going to be really useful for, just kind of the different assignments, especially since we will be, since I mentioned that it's going to be kind of a writing intensive class, the more resources that you all have available to you, I think is definitely going to help once you start to get through some of those assignments. So I definitely liked that. Let's move on to the second response question. Okay, what are you wanting to get out of this class? Now that we, are going to start covering some material, what are some things that kind of jumped out at you as you were looking over the syllabus? Let's go group number 4. I'm not exactly sure who was in that group. Jack, was that you?
Yep.
Awesome. Go ahead.
I think the main thing we were talking about is just trying to get a better understanding of the field, since it's more of an introductory course, and we just want to see what's like a day-to-day basis, like what kind of job we're getting into, really.
Right. Yeah, and that's good. And I think that is one of the main things that prompted me to kind of have some of the guest speakers, right? Like, it's one thing to be able to go over what's on a PowerPoint presentation, but then to actually be able to communicate and talk with and ask questions to real professionals that are actually out in the industry. Hopefully that's going to be really interesting and intriguing for you.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about too. We like that you picked like separate areas. So like, even if we're not into like a certain field in the sports management business, we can like more connect with one of the 4 that you were talking about earlier last session.
Yeah, perfect. I really like that. And I think one of the reasons why, sport management is so intriguing to people, or why it's, a really, really popular field, is just, it really promotes, kind of a lot of creativity. I think a lot of people like that. You have a lot of different avenues, a lot of different, areas where you can work. And I think that just kind of promotes, working well with other people and coming up with some great ideas. Let's go group number 3, same response. Second question, what are you wanting to take out of this course?
We said since the course is called Issues in Sports Management, we want to also be prepared of what issues might face us and how to deal with those issues and that kind of stuff. Okay,
good. I like that. Let's go Let's go group number 6. Let's move on to that third question. Okay, what motivated you to sign up for the class? And I know we kind of touched on it kind of on an individual basis on, kind of what were some of the, dream jobs, areas that you're wanting to work in, but how kind of elaborate on that group number 6. Start picking on.
I was in group number 6, wasn't I? I finished.
Yeah, that's.
I took the class because my concentration is sports management, and I thought the class was interesting. And then obviously from what we learned in class, it can help us down the line in the future.
Yep, that's good. I like that. And I'm sure most of your group's responses were kind of something along that, whether it was, kind of like a requirement for your class, or is it not your class, excuse me, a requirement for your major, that's fair. But once again, I just really want to be able to give you current and relevant topics for, kind of your preparation as you enter your professional careers post-Wartburg. I think that's the biggest takeaway that I want you all to have. Okay, let's go, let's move on to, let's have group number 5, and I'm not 100% sure who was in group number 5, but let's have, I'll just call on somebody randomly if you don't remember which group you were in, but what is your definition of sport management? Group number 5. I'll give you about 10 seconds to speak up, and then I'll start calling on some random people just to kind of survey the group.
I think that was our group.
Okay.
So what we said is basically like any job that deals with like promoting or like marketing like a sports team or business in sports.
Yep, that was good. Let's, Hannah, what was your group's response? Hopefully you were in another group other than group 5 there. What was kind of your group response to the 4th question?
We've said similar to him, but like a combination of skills that you'll need to like work within a sports organization. So like planning, organizing, budgeting, leading, and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a great response. Let's go one more. Let's go Carson. What was some of your takeaways from that fourth response? We'll go last one, and then I'll actually start presenting.
So what I said for number 4 was kind of just a skill set, anything that's like pertaining to sports or like physical activity.
Okay.
A lot of people have kind of hit on.
Yeah, of course. Perfect. Well, I think overall, I think all of that was exactly spot on. Once again, kind of building off of what I originally said, I think that is one of the big reasons why sport management is such a popular industry to go into. You know, it's kind of funny because the sport management, and as I was talking with Sarah Campbell, one of the guest lecturers earlier this week, kind of starting to gather some, or give her some ideas of things that we could kind of discuss and talk about. She said the sport management industry is really big and broad, but it's also very, very small. I think, you know, especially within, you know, the coaching world, you know, since I'm the coach here at Wartburg, it's very easy to just kind of run into somebody and start talking with them. And then ultimately, you know, you'll maybe have 2, 3, you know, mutual contacts or mutual people in your network. And I think that is maybe not necessarily every single industry is like that. And certainly as you start working into, you know, professional organizations such as, you know, NBC Sports or, you know, pro sports team, whatever, that circle gets even smaller. You know, and we'll be able to kind of touch on some of those at a later point. I believe it's in today's lecture. But I'm going to start to share my screen. I am going to switch over to using the owl. That way I can kind of walk around and I'm not glued to a individual spot. So I would personally, I would continue to kind of take some notes. It looks like some people are have their cameras off because they, I'm hoping, are you know, kind of taking some notes on their computer, or if I've seen a couple notebooks kind of pop into screen, definitely feel free to use that. But I would recommend taking some notes on the lecture today. And then once again, I will be posting this presentation to my Wartburg, and I'm going to be recording all of these lectures and posting them to a YouTube channel I created. So we kind of be able to have a lot of different resources that you can use for note taking. I don't really care, you know, which one you choose, which one works best for you. I just ask that you stay engaged through this presentation. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to using the owl before I start sharing. Is that working over here? I think so. Perfect. Thank you, Jordan. Okay, I'm going to start sharing my screen and we'll start rolling. Is that working? You can see the PowerPoint? Okay, fair enough. So, chapter 1, managing sport. Okay. Okay, there we go. Sorry. Okay, so in order to kind of a good starting point will kind of be talking a little bit about the background. So background of the industry. But in order to start there, we need to start a little bit before that. So during the 1930s, obviously the Great Depression in the United States is a very, very dark time in our society. Okay, 25% of people were unemployed, but because of that, you know, families didn't really have the disposable income to be able to spend on sporting equipment or going to different sporting events. You know, times were rough and we just didn't really have that, okay? As the 40s rolled around, okay, World War II happened. Okay, this isn't a history class. I won't bore you with all the details of it, but you know, wartime productions, vehicles were being built, ammunition, military supplies were all in effort to win the war. Okay, now, with that being said, once the war ended and all of the soldiers were coming home, the 50s and 60s were generally pretty good years for the US economy, okay? The production of goods were shifting from wartime production, okay, into kind of more of the consumer-based goods. We already had the infrastructure, we already had the resources to be able to, you know, manufacture goods at a very high rate, okay? And they just transitioned that into, you know, different items for the general consumer, okay? So once again, 1950s and 60s were pretty good years for the US economy, okay? Now, as a result of this, okay, during the 1960s, people and 50s, people started to have the income to be able to spend on, you know, sporting equipment, whether that was, you know, baseball gloves, baseball bats, you know, bikes, things of that nature, okay? People were able to travel quite a bit more, okay? The highway system was really produced during the Eisenhower administration, okay? Families were owning vehicles, okay? So they were able to travel, okay? All of these things really started to develop the love of sport here in the United States, okay? And building off of that, we'll be able to kind of go into a little bit more detail, but as a result of that, okay, sport industry experts were needing people to, you know, have specific areas of concentration within the workforce, okay? We wanted to have, you know, people that were able to sell tickets, cold calling, things like that, able to put on sporting events, whether that was both in the, you know, youth sports areas, professional sports areas, whatever, okay? Professionals were wanting people that were kind of very focused and specialized within that industry. So Ohio University during the, I think it was 1963, 1964, started a master's program in sport management, okay? That is the very first, in the very first program in the world that had a designated major based on the sport management industry or the sport industry, okay? As you see there, there's 827 total programs, undergrad, grad, PhD programs across the world now that have those programs, okay? Can everybody hear me okay? Carson, can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up. Awesome, okay? And this is just a chart kind of outlining what I was what I was saying there, okay? A lot in the US, a lot across Europe as well. New Zealand has a few, okay? Considering how small of a country they are, that's pretty impressive, okay? Don't need to spend a whole lot of time on that, but that is a pretty good representation, or it's an excellent representation. It's raw data, okay? We already did that. We touched on that, so we're not going to go over. Okay, the scope of the industry. Kind of already touched on this. Diverse sporting opportunities available to consumers. Once again, especially now with the, you know, different things that are out there giving us sport entertainment, okay? At the end of the day, sport is a means of entertaining people, and I think that is why it is so popular here in the US, okay? Types of sports. There's a lot of different opportunities out there, whether that is, actual sports, virtual sports, esports, whatever. There's just a lot of different things out there to consumers. And I think building off of kind of the creativity that we talked about earlier, okay? I think that is a real reason why people are able to, or interested in a lot of different things that fall under the umbrella of the sports industry. Okay, professionals must have a good understanding of traditional and new sports, just because, once again, if you are trying to develop a marketing plan for a cutting edge, good or service, or you have a brilliant idea of ways to really engage your audiences or your target market, okay, it's going to be pretty important and pretty relevant just to be able to, okay, we had an idea or a similar type product. This is the type of marketing plan we put together. This is what worked. This is what didn't work. That way you can really kind of pick and choose things to really, make your product or make your good or make your service successful. Okay. Understanding the landscape better and more informed decisions as a leader and manager. Okay. That's pretty simple, but I think it is really important to touch on, because when we are working in sports, okay, it is really important to be a engaged and positive leader within an organization. Okay, sport and sport management really require people to work together to problem solve. Okay, that is something that's very, very important and needs to be talked about. Okay, how can I be a positive leader? How can I be a positive influence within my organization to be able to solve problems? Okay, talking about the nature and the scope of the sport industry. Okay. Here's some good examples of single sport activities. Okay, you have teams and leagues. Okay, whether that's youth sports, whether that's professional organizations. This is a very, very simple one, and I think when you're talking about the blanket statement of sport management, I think a lot of our minds automatically go toward these single sport activities, single sport settings. Okay, multi-sport organizations. These are athletic foundations. Okay, Hall of Fame organizations, Olympic sport committees. Okay, different organizations are used to plan for these types of activities, whether that's the Olympics or World Cups, whatever. But there's a lot of different organizations that need to be communicated to in order to pull off those different types of events. Okay, college programs. Okay, college sports. You have athletic conferences. You have different degree programs. Okay, like we saw in the previous, or one of the previous slides. Okay, you have undergraduate programs, you have master's programs, you have PhD programs. All of those people within those organizations fall under the sport management blanket. Even though, yes, they are in education, okay, it's still very relevant because professional organizations are hiring these people out of school in order to work on their team to help solve problems, create a product that consumers really enjoy. Okay. Media. Okay, this is a huge one. With all the social media out there, all of the different news outlets and programs. Okay, whether that's TV, radio, social media, all of it. This is a huge area within the sport management scope or within the industry that, you know, are all excellent jobs and really, really stable things to do, right? Like, I don't think NBC or, you know, Fox Sports 1 or ESPN, they're not going anywhere anytime soon, right? Okay, we'll quickly breeze through some of these sponsorships. Okay, companies that are, or excuse me, that's falling under professional services. You have sponsors, companies that are wanting to associate themselves with a individual brand. Okay, right? Like you have Ferrari, okay, Goodyear tires, Michelin tires, you know, different companies like that. You have Rolex with the professional tennis leagues and tournaments, okay? I think Rolex is the official timekeeper of Wimbledon or the US Open. You have building on to facilities, okay, venues and arenas. These are obviously when you're talking about professional sports and most sports, you need an actual location, okay, where you can host these different events. Okay, manufacturer and retail. Okay, these are equipment and goods that consumers are buying and sports teams are purchasing and buying in order to fund their, you know, their time to be able to fund their, you know, their training, right? You have CrossFit with Rogue Fitness Company. Okay, you have, you know, Nike in the golf industry. You have Nike within soccer, a little bit into baseball and football. You know, those different types of things, but that all falls under the manufacturer and retailer's hat or umbrella within the sport industry. Okay, and events and trade shows. This is a huge moneymaker. Okay, I have a friend that works out in Las Vegas at one of the big, you know, convention centers, and the number of high-profile people that come in and look at goods, it's unbelievable. Okay, I think they were talking with like the owner of Manchester City, you know, football club over in England. Okay, like the Sheik himself. Okay, was there looking at some of the products, looking at ways that he could use, you know, different products in those areas, you know, to help his organization win soccer games or football games, whatever you want to call it. Okay. So once again, I think this is a really good indicator of why people are gravitated to sports. Okay. Safe to say, I'm sure, you know, especially here in this class, okay, since, you know, we're all sports people, we like sports, we can find one of the things you are incredibly passionate about in one of these areas. Okay. And that's, I think, pretty darn neat. Any questions so far? I'm gonna check the chat. Any questions? Pretty self-explanatory. Okay. I don't want to take up too much of your time. We've already used 40 minutes of class, but I'm going to continue to share my screen and move on. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything in the group chat. Okay. I need one of those wireless clicker adjuster things. Kind of already touched on this. Sorry, I get to talking and don't I keep forgetting to change slides. But once again, products are a very, very important thing, especially in kind of a technology-based era like we are now. Things are constantly evolving, constantly changing. We touched on that. Okay, economic impact. Didn't necessarily really touch on that, but we kind of did talking about the 50s and 60s, right? If things are good in the economy, people are going to be able to have the money to spend on different items. Okay, if money is really, really tight, okay, let's talk about the pandemic, okay, COVID-19. A lot of people are affected by this. A lot of people have lost their jobs, okay, terrible stuff, okay? They may not necessarily be able to spend money on, you know, the latest and greatest, you know, set of tailor-made golf clubs that are coming out that are, you know, 3, 4, 5 grand, okay? It's just not feasible, okay? And then sport activity models, okay, there's a lot of different things out there in terms of, you know, leagues and competitions and just different ways to really engage consumers, okay? And then these are, once again, just kind of some of the examples of different areas within the sport industry, okay? We kind of touched on a lot of these already, but useful bit of information for you, okay? Unique aspects of sport management, okay? Sport marketing, okay? As sport professionals, it's important to kind of realize, okay, that the sport product, okay, the actual, you know, different things that sport management professionals are trying to do, they're trying to really engage people, okay? So, you know, for example, sports are something that are digested live as a viewer, okay? When you purchase tickets and you go to the Super Bowl, okay? Not sure if anybody's gone to the Super Bowl, but it's very much like a production, okay? That's really a decent word to use when talking about sports nowadays, just because, one, as a consumer, you don't really know what you're going to get out of that game. You know that, you know, this team and this team are playing, but during the course of a 90-minute soccer match, okay, you have no idea what's going to happen, or a baseball game. You don't know what's going to happen during the 9 innings, okay? Now, oftentimes, you know, some sports last longer than that, but you just don't really know, okay? So that way, it really allows each individual opportunity or each individual activity to be kind of a little bit unique. Okay, you're not getting the same thing every single time you go to a baseball game, okay? You may go just to a regular 9-inning game where, you know, the score is 5-1, but then you may go to a game where, you know, it's 19, 20 innings and, you know, it's a 10-hour affair, you know, something like that. That's a very unique experience, right? And once you get invested that long, you're like, okay, let's just buckle up and let's go for it, okay? And because it is a live production, oftentimes, as sport marketers and sport management people, we really have to be able to connect with people and force the level of connection and force the buy-in from those consumers, right? Because if somebody isn't necessarily having a great experience, they're not going to be able to, they're not going to feel inclined to go back, you know, the next week or, you know, the next season, especially when talking about season ticket holders. Okay, there's a lot of money in that, and we'll be able to talk with my buddy Ben about that. But there's big money in season tickets. So if they're not having a good experience, they're not going to feel inclined to drop, you know, 3, 4, 5 grand on a ticket package. They're just not going to do it. Okay, so that's where we need to be able to find creative solutions to engage people. Now you're going to ask, okay, well, how do people, you know, get engaged with within the actual activity and really kind of sink that hook into that organization or this activity? Well, there's a lot of different examples, and I'm just going to rattle off a list. Okay, in-game promotions. Okay, the people that go for the half-court shot at a basketball game. Okay, win this brand new BMW convertible. Okay, if you make the basket, that's fun. That's just fun to watch. Okay, you have jerseys. Okay, you can go online. You can go into the arena store and purchase a Cristiano Ronaldo jersey for $100, and you can wear that, you know, out on the weekend when you go watch Juventus play. You can buy a Tom Brady Tampa Bay Buccaneers jersey and watch and wear that every time you watch a football game. Nobody would bat an eye. Okay, it's these different types of things that allow people to really feel connected with the product or the activity in which they are investing time and money into in watching. Okay. Skipping down to the sport industry career paths. Okay, I think, and especially within this industry, there is no one way to go about a career trajectory within the sport industry. Okay, for example, I have friends that started off coaching. Okay, started off coaching, ended up getting a it was a coach for a Division III. Messiah College is a huge powerhouse out in Pennsylvania. Okay, he went to undergrad with me. He got a GA position, coached 2 years at Messiah College. From there, ended up getting a job for a video coordinator position at Creighton with their men's basketball team. From there, ended up getting a job at the what is the professional basketball team in Milwaukee? It's eluding me. The Bucks? Is that Bucks? Okay. He got a job with the Bucks. From there, he went down to their developmental team, wherever that was, and now he's back into coaching for a Division II school in West Virginia. That's a heck of a career path for a guy that's 30 years old. Okay, he was a couple years older than me. But it's those types of moves that I think make the sport industry so interesting and fascinating. Okay, there's no right or wrong way to get to where you want to go. Okay, but the common theme is you need to be engaged. You need to be active in finding those opportunities that will align you with kind of chasing and pursuing those goals that you have. Okay, no opportunity or no experience is a bad experience. Okay, especially when talking about, you know, careers and gaining experience within the sport industry. Okay, sometimes you're going to have, especially if you're wanting to work into sports, you may have to take a job that's perceived as less desirable. Okay, you may have to work an internship one summer that, you know, if you're, for example, I'll use my friend Sarah Campbell. Okay, she worked in baseball as her internship experience when she was a senior. Okay, she had to pull tarp, she had to dress up as the mascot. She was handed the microphone to do the in-game promotions kind of in between innings. Okay, she hated it, but she was really good at it. And ultimately, that internship experience ended up allowing her to get a job back in Pennsylvania. She did her internship down in Florida. Okay, she ended up getting a full-time job when she graduated, worked at a minor league baseball organization in Pennsylvania. And then from there, she got hired by the St. Louis Cardinals and is working back in Florida currently at Roger Dean Stadium, where the St. Louis Cardinals do their spring training. Okay, so that's just kind of one example of kind of how career paths, you know, kind of can change quickly. Okay, and you need to be ready to go. That's for sure. And then sport is a social institution. Okay, there are, especially in today's age, okay, athletes are using their you know, status as a platform, which is awesome. If they're able to find something that they're incredibly passionate about, okay, people are going to be interested. People are going to be, you know, listening to what they have to say, seeing what they're doing, okay, and that starts the conversation. Okay, and that's how things can change. If we're able to talk about it, continuously talk about it, continue to evaluate things, that's how things are able to change over time, which is excellent. And especially this topic, there are a million awesome examples of ways people are really, really changing things out there. And yes, it's slow, of course. Change is always slow, but you have to be able to have those conversations. Okay, this is a very relevant chart here. Okay, and especially for young people that are just coming out of school. Okay, these are some of the very important, we'll say, key aspects of a sport organization. Okay, now, as a young professional, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to be able to master the marketing and sales aspect, okay? And within that, master the budgeting and accounting and coordinating, okay? It's really hard to do that. But over time, as you gain experience, as you gather experiences, you're going to be able to start to add different things to your toolbox. And ultimately, that's how you climb the ladder. Okay? The more things you're able to do well, the more inclined employers are going to be to hire you. Okay? And this is why it is very important to be able to gather experiences when you're in school. Okay? Talk to people. Listen to people. Okay, pick their brains, because they're going to be able to give you some ideas of what you can do to find those opportunities, find those ways to gather experiences. Okay, so I really like this chart. It's pretty relevant, but that's all I will say about that. Okay. Okay, I'm going to read a quote here from the textbook, but it's pretty relevant. Okay, professionals who think critically have strong quantitative literacy and strong decision-making skills, written and oral communication skills, and will be able to excel in any job and organization. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I have a couple questions for everybody. Okay, why is it important to have a strong understanding of kind of problem solving and being able to think critically in the sport industry? Let's go, Freddie. What do you think? Freddie, are you with us?
Sorry, the keyboard fell asleep.
All good.
Did you say it one more time?
Yep, so why is it important as young professionals, and especially young professionals, why is it important to be able to think critically?
Well, considering there's probably a lot of people ahead of you as you are a young professional, being able to think critically would allow you to kind of get like ahead of other people that are in the same position as you are, and basically just excel in your career.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really relevant, right? So as a young professional, you're going to have a lot of people wanting to work in sports, okay? So when you get your foot in the door, okay, you really have to be able to take advantage of all of your opportunities, right? And problem solving is an excellent way to showcase your individual ability, be able to show your individual creativity. Okay, what else? Here's another question. Let's go, why is it important to be able to kind of come up with creative solutions for different problems? Let's go, Luca. Why is it important to be able to come up with creative solutions to problems in a sports management?
Usually in sports, it's not as easy to like plan ahead. Like you don't you usually have a clear way with a clear outcome. So many times you have to adjust things as things are going on. So you need to be able to adapt to changes and to things happening.
Yeah, I think that's extremely important. And actually, when I was talking with my friend Sarah, who is more or less, she is kind of a event planner and coordinator and sport marketing sponsorship type area. As I was talking with her, I was like, okay, Sarah, what have you been doing for the last 9 months through COVID? And she was like, well, frankly, not a lot, just because you're only able, and to touch on what Luca was saying, okay, you're only really able to plan for so much. And with all of the different, things that are going on within COVID right now, it's really difficult to plan. Like she isn't necessarily sure when spring training is going to happen, okay? Spring training usually starts, I think, is it February, everybody? Usually February, March timeframe, maybe. I'm not 100% sure. I don't really follow baseball that much, but they're still waiting for Major League Baseball to be able to make a decision. Like, okay, what does spring training actually look like this year? Okay, so good.
I was talking with someone earlier for like an internship, and they were saying that they have to like plan fully for like a winter. She was at the Des Moines Menace, and she was talking about how like she had to fully plan for a youth program, even though she knew very well that it was going to get canceled. So it's just, even if you know it's going to get canceled, you just need to be prepared for anything, really.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that is why, what you just said, Jack, is exactly why it's important to be able to think critically, be a problem solver, right? Because you're not really sure what's going to be coming at you, but if you have a set of solutions, okay, if you have 3 separate plans that can more or less be transferred from, okay, this period in time to this period in time, that's time well spent. So I like that. That is very, very true. Okay. The other thing to touch on, when you are a good critical thinker, that means you're engaged. Okay, people like to be engaged. Okay, employers like to see that their people under them are engaged and willing to think critically and problem solve. Okay, because it's really, really frustrating. Okay, when you are in an organization, okay, you have people that are, working really, really hard to make sure the program excels or the industry, wherever they are in the industry doesn't fall or waver, okay? It's really, really frustrating when you have people under you that don't necessarily care as much as you do, right? That's really, really frustrating, okay? And especially in the sports industry, it's really, really easy to find somebody who is really, really passionate and that's going to be able to do a really good job. So the more that you're engaged, the more that you're able to think critically, think on your toes, be active within your organization, the better off you're going to be able to kind of showcase what you individually can bring to your organization or your job title. Okay. Okay, I'm going to, I want to get you out of here a little bit early, so we're going to breeze through kind of the last 4 or 5 slides of this presentation. Everybody doing okay? Not boring you? Okay, good deal. I'm sorry if I am boring you. I get pretty fired up about this type of stuff, though. Okay, we kind of touched on this. Yep, so we did kind of touch on this, but now these are kind of some of the main questions, and I would definitely write all of this stuff down because this is going to be a test question for you. Okay? Slide, I think this is slide 12 or 13, whatever it is. Okay, so the stages of thinking critically, asking good questions. Okay, what are the issues and the conclusions? Okay, and before I start, it's kind of interesting to actually read about critical thinking, just because I feel as though as most people, okay, and most people when faced with adversity or faced with a problem that needs a creative solution, I think we do a lot of these things already, but we may not necessarily know why we do it. Okay? Or we may not necessarily do it in this order. Okay? That's fine too. But at the end of the day, but at the end of the day, this is kind of the more formal option within critical thinking. Okay, these are the steps according to our friends in the textbook. Okay, so what are the issues and the conclusions? Okay, what are the problems that you are facing? And as a result of those problems, what actually happened? What occurred? What was the conclusion? Okay, so you need to be able to identify what's going on. Second, what are the reasons? Why did that happen? Within that, okay, what words or phrases were ambiguous? Okay, ambiguous, that's a fun word. What things could be misinterpreted to cause the confusion? Was it a language problem? And as a result of the ambiguity, what were the assumptions that were made? I'll wait another 10 seconds before I jump slides. Okay, I'm going to jump slides now. Does the reason contain fallacies? Okay, was it interpreted by that person because they already had kind of a preconceived notion in their head? Okay, so I almost call that like with blinders on. Okay, really, you're only picking out what you want to see. Okay, is that what the person was doing? Is that what happened within that? Okay, how good is the evidence? Okay, if you're coming up with different solutions, okay, what type of evidence are you getting to kind of confirm that? Okay, well maybe people were using kind of their own predetermined knowledge or predetermined template in their head to really drive their motion, drive their decision making. Okay, and then what significant information was omitted? Okay, maybe before going back to the first question. Okay, going back to the first slide. Okay, maybe was my language, the language that my organization was using, maybe it wasn't good enough, or excuse me, maybe it was too much. Maybe that was confusing people. Okay, but now, was I not clear enough? Was there important bits of information that were missed? Okay, so these are all different things that you should be asking yourself when trying to think critically. Okay, and then this is kind of more along the same lines. Okay, recognize the ethical issue. Okay, can you identify what's going on? Can you get the facts? Okay, of what actually happened? Okay, evaluate alternative solutions, and this is kind of a little bit more like the problem solving problem-solving sequence, we'll say, but it's all pretty damn relevant, okay? So recognize an issue, okay? What happened? Get the facts, do your homework, evaluate alternative actions, come up with different solutions, okay? If I have a problem, okay, what can we do to be able to fix it? Okay, let's go A, B, C, okay? Maybe we can change this, get a different outcome, okay? That doesn't work. Maybe we find this, different outcome. Maybe it's C, okay? Option C all the way down at the end. That is the desired outcome. Let's stick with it and let's go. Let's run with it, okay? Make a decision and test it. Okay, I just kind of skipped over that one. Okay, but you kind of do that through the planning process. Come up with different solutions. Okay, come up with different solutions, test it out, try it. It's okay to fail. Who cares? As long as you're making an effort to change, come up with something that's going to change. Okay, nobody can fault you for that. Absolutely nobody. Okay, and then of course, act, reflect on the outcome. Okay, sometimes, once again, if you have option A, B, and C, sometimes you have to run the gauntlet. Sometimes A isn't going to work, okay? Ball that up, throw it away. Move on to B. That doesn't work, throw it up. Or crumble it up, throw it away. C, bingo, there we go. Okay? Once again, there's no timetable for all of this. And oftentimes, you know, because we're smart people, we're able to do that in like all in 5 minutes. Okay, sometimes even less. It's very instinctual for everybody. Okay, last slide here, and then I'll be able to get everybody out of here probably in the next 5 minutes, okay? Future challenges and opportunities in the sport management industry. These are some of the things that are very relevant within sports, okay? Technology, it's never ending, okay? There are a lot of different things out there that people are using in the sport industry, and it's constantly evolving, constantly changing. As sport professionals, we are pretty good at coming up with creative solutions, and there are amazing people out there that are able to make those tools happen, and when you're able to find something like that, you jump on it, okay? You know, social media, for example. When I was going through school, I graduated with my undergrad in 2015. I graduated from high school in 2011. You know, social media, I don't think Instagram was around then. Maybe it was in like 2011, 2012, but certainly when I was in high school, Instagram was not around, okay? Now, I think every professional sports team has Instagram as a platform, okay? So that's a decent example of the technology. Future challenges, that's always going to change. Maybe in another 10 years, you know, Instagram is only going to be for the ancient people like myself and your grandparents, whatever, your parents. Ethics and social responsibilities, okay? Especially now, nowadays, you know, this is a real big one. How can we promote change? How can we promote inclusion? All of those different things, and once again, these things take a while. They take a lot of different small steps, but if everybody commits to it, we're going to be able to solve these problems, and we need to solve these problems. And then globalization of sport, okay? Kind of touching on media, technology. There are a lot of different ways to be able to, you know, make everybody in the world consumers of sport. And I think that is going to be a really, really big thing that is going to continue to happen over the next 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, certainly during our generation. Okay, so I'm going to switch back to the webcam. Okay, so what were some things that were interesting today? Let's go. Andy, what were something that you took away today?
Just how important critical thinking is, and then like how much it can advance you in like solving problems, and how it can, you know, boost your career and get you new jobs and opportunities.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a distinguishing factor if you're able to think critically. So good. Riley, what's something you took away today?
How organizations can get their product out by using like the media and their facilities and to get their communities active.
Nice. Mr. Kiner, Brady, what was something you kind of took away, or what was your kind of favorite portion of the lecture today?
I think it was important on the ethical decisions, recognizing an ethical issue and then getting the facts and then kind of reflecting and acting on that outcome.
Yeah, I think especially the reflection piece, that is something I've really tried to commit to over the last, we'll say 6 months or so with COVID. That's kind of something I personally have really, trying to implement within my personal toolbox, we'll say, right? Because I think especially with, being young people, you have a million different things going on with, class, sports, whatever. You may not necessarily always have the time to look back and evaluate what actually happened. Okay. But if we, sometimes you don't have to keep a diary of like, okay, today I made a really good decision at lunch. Okay. It doesn't have to be like that. Right. But if, let's say, as you're starting to prepare for a exam, okay, maybe you didn't necessarily go as well as you wanted. Take 3-4 minutes, jot down what you actually did to prepare for it, make a change so the next exam goes a lot better. Let's go, Donovan. Last one here. End us off. What stood out to you? What good takeaways did you have?
I kind of agree with what Brady said about the ethical thinking and the critical thinking and stuff like that.
Good. Okay. Well, good. I'm glad. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it today. We'll be able to get you out 15 minutes early. Once again, I am recording all of these lectures. I'll be posting them to a YouTube channel. I'll send that link out here. In terms of, let me grab my syllabus to just make sure that we don't have anything important on Tuesday in terms of assignments or anything like that. I don't think we do. Yep, so Tuesday, January 6th, we're just going over chapter 2. Yeah, so I'm done here. You guys have a good and safe weekend. I'm not sure if our basketball teams are playing this weekend or not, but good luck to those with practices and team workouts. And once again, email me with any questions, and have a good weekend, everybody, okay?